Warning, the Stone Age Gamer includes a lot of bad language. Cover your mother***ing ears.
Good evening and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. I am Chris Randazzo and joining me tonight is Pyramid Scheme, Evan Goldstein.
Bad. Puzzle and drag.
Filling the part of Dan Ryan, quite well I might add, is our intrepid editor Evan this evening because Dan had a work thing pop up. So we're putting off our Stone Age starter kit for the Game Gear, and we're going to talk about the whole, the whole wonderful thing about slabbing video games and all the wonderful joys that have gone along with it uncovered lately. Oh boy, grab your 9.8 rating because the Stone Age Gamer Podcast starts now.
That's virtually impossible.
Virtually. Not for the virtual boy.
Ew.
Hi everyone, this is episode 374. It's the week of September 3rd.
Thank God we're doing this live. Thank God.
Oh, remember when we used to do this live? Remember when we used to stream these recordings?
Yeah, but I had nothing to do with that. I just sat behind the curtain giggling the entire time.
My goodness, that was a weird situation. I wonder nobody ever showed up to those things either. We should try that again someday. I bet Dan would love it.
I mean, seeing as we now record using Discord, you can do that because they revamped the whole thing, which took us 15 minutes to figure out how to talk to each other tonight.
Oh wow, so people could come join this and listen to this right now, right?
It seems that way if they're part of our Discord server.
Oh man, I want to go tell everyone in the SAG chat. I'm gonna go tell everybody in the SAG chat. All right, let's see. How do I tell them this? Can I create an invite to this? Invite. Oh, that's just clicking on people. Oh, here's an invite link. All right, check this business out. We're gonna do some technology tonight.
So, but wait, the thing is how do you differentiate between the ability to talk and just listen?
I think we're about to find out.
Oh, no, this could go horribly wrong.
Yeah, it's probably going to go horribly wrong. I love it.
It's only been 374-ish episodes. I mean, why not just throw it out the window now? So, yeah, that was weird. Apparently I had shut off Discord on my computer when I did a restart, and I never turned it back on. So as soon as I started it, 900, and I literally have one server that has over 1,000 notifications.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. There is the I read them all button, so yeah, not happening.
They were each individual one was very important to me, and I read them all with love and care.
I put a thumbs up on each one of them, a heart, smiley face emoji.
Yeah. So, all right, let's see. Earlier this afternoon, Dan called me, and I had no idea who it was because I have his number in my phone, but it's not attached to his name for some reason. I have two other phone numbers that are attached to Dan's name, but apparently not whatever number he called me from today. My phone's a mess.
So,
but after I figured out who he was, he told me he couldn't do the show tonight, and he would want to know if I could find a last minute replacement. So we're going on vacation this weekend, and Angie's out of town, so I wasn't going to get to talk to Evan this week. So I said, first thought, I wonder if Evan will do the show, so that way I can talk to Evan this week. And lo and behold, here he is.
Lo and behold, he was sitting on his couch by himself, wondering where his fiance was, and now I'm here.
She's away. She didn't say where.
Yeah, she's just gone. Hopefully she's coming back at some point in time, but yeah, it happens.
It would put a damper on the wedding plans. Speaking of which, I was asked by, let's see, I think it was Matt Flamger who asked me to, let's see, no, it was Scion Storm. He said, Evan is the one who's getting married, right? You should grill him for demanding you guys get in shape. How dare you make me and Dan get in shape, Evan? And you mandated that. So, it's true.
So keep in mind, I've done everything in my power to make groomsmen's lives easier, to the point where I literally sent you an Amazon link to buy your shit in whatever size you want.
You know what? Here's the thing about that. So I bought my shit today because I thought I bought it already, and then it turns out I didn't. So I was like starting to get concerned. Like, I kind of feel like this stuff should have been here by now, because it just kind of left my brain. And then I looked and I said, oh, I never ordered this stuff. So I followed those links, and the shirt link was nigh indecipherable. Wow. Did you look at that shirt link?
I clicked on that shirt link today to make sure that it was for Raspberry.
Well, yeah, the color's not the problem. It was the size. So, like, the vest and the pants were all like, yeah, extra large? Sure, go nuts. This one's like, all right, what sizes? Well, we have extra large, which is unavailable in that color, and then it's by neck and sleeve size. I don't know what my neck and sleeve size are. I wear T-shirts. So I went to go look at their size chart, because there's a little size chart there, and it says chest and waist. It has nothing to do with the neck and sleeve. So then I went upstairs and I was like, Karen, help. I don't know how to shirt. And she was like, all right, I can help you. Shirt. So she measures my chest size, and she's like, all right, so this is the size you need. I was like, yeah,
34B.
Click on that size chart. And she's like, oh, okay, all right. So then she measures my neck. That makes sense. She's like, I don't know how to measure a sleeve properly, because she measured my arm, and it was nowhere near any of those numbers that say sleeve size. So then we had to look up, like, you have to measure it from the middle of your neck down on an angle or something like that. And you
so
gotta
you
like
go for the back of your middle back of your neck to your shoulder, from your shoulder to your wrist, and add those two numbers together.
That seems needlessly complicated.
Well,
what do I look like, a tailor to you?
All this shit's coming from China somewhere, I'm sure.
We think we figured it out, and we'll find out for sure in a day or two when it shows up. Thanks,
and then
Amazon
just put it
Prime.
back in the bag, and you send it back, and you say, "I need
That's
this
right.
size." You need what's that called? A base level. Like, this is where we're starting with.
Yeah, this is what's happening right now. This is the bottom line. This is what I think is going to work for me and my particular shape. Yeah. Yes, this is the control.
And so all of the listeners know, I ain't telling nobody to do nothing.
He's telling everybody to do everything. He's a real diva about this.
I am a diva. It's finally out there. I think we're being pretty relaxed about it. I mean, Angela's being fantastic about it. Like, she barely talks to me about requests and whatnot, and I say, honey, go nuts. Have as much fun. And the big issue is that we're doing everything up north, and I live in North Carolina. That's a 12-hour drive to figure out if the venue needs something. So it's an ordeal. Well, we're making it.
Nah, you guys are doing great. We were talking in the Discord a little bit about weddings earlier, and a bunch of fun stuff came up. And I remarked on how strange it was that, considering how much you and Dan are a part of my life now, that neither of you were in my wedding party.
I was barely at your wedding because, you know,
you were at there.
I brought that person. I'm sorry about that again.
That's okay.
Anywho, yeah.
She seemed fine at the time. I wasn't paying attention to her. I was happy to see you. But yeah, like, and I don't regret the people I chose for my wedding party with, you know, for nothing. I mean, they're some of the most important figures in my life. It's just I don't see a couple of them really, like, ever anymore. I mean, I see Sean and Paul all the time. Like, we do a podcast together now. But Gina, I'm actually going to her wedding in October as well. So ooh. October's a heck of a wedding month.
Yeah.
And Frank's been married for ages. But no, I had a lot of fun doing our wedding stuff. We didn't have any, like, gigantic disasters, and the most important thing, because, like, I've been to other weddings that have been somewhat disastrous or where everything's stressful, and we both lucked out in that our parents weren't like, this is what you're doing.
What do you mean this is what you're doing? They told you what you needed to do for your wedding?
That's what I'm saying. Other people's parents have done that. I've experienced that a lot, where parents have been like, well, I'm paying for the wedding, so this is what's happening. This is who's coming. no, you're not inviting that person. I'm paying for this. Like I've seen horror stories.
We are dealing with some of that, and it's not even a monetary thing because we're not asking money from nobody to pay for this thing. Like I literally worked my ass off to clear out like 4 credit cards to say, honey, go nuts. But like
it's true. He no longer has an ass.
Yeah, there's so many personalities to deal with, and it is truly a juggling game, trying to figure out who's going to sit next to whom, and can this person just be an adult for an evening? And the answer to that question is no, they can't. So this person can't come, and it's
the way my parents handled that was like, because the pricing was all done by plate and whatnot,
right?
So the way my parents handled it is like, all right, you guys invite who you want to invite. That's, any family you want to invite and whatnot. If there's any family that you don't want to invite, don't invite them. Right. If they're family members that we think that's going to cause an issue down the line, we'll pay for them to come.
And that's great.
That worked out great. I mean, I would have been perfectly happy if my shithead Uncle Mike never showed up. I never liked that guy. And then my other Uncle Ed, he turned out to be a kid toucher, and I always hated that guy. So I was, not thrilled to have him at my wedding. But outside of that, for the most part, anybody who showed up that was related to me, it was like, fine.
So here's the thing. First and foremost, if I recall correctly, you had it at a actual like wedding venue. Like you could keep adding more people, right? Like
yeah,
it was like a hotel-ish kind of setup. But we are doing it in what is in essence like a lodge. It's a beautiful rustic looking lodge. It's on a lake. It's gorgeous, but it only fits a certain amount of people. Okay, so we like normally, when you hear about weddings like on television, like it's like 300 people. Like fuck, I don't even know if I know that many people. And like right now we're scheduled for 150, and that's like max. Like we literally can't fit anybody else in the room. And the funny part about that is my list of invites is very different than Angie's. Like she has way more people. And it's because of certain, like the history of relationships. Like there's a few people that you would think from your past, like, yeah, they're going to be in my life forever, but they're not in your life anymore. So you don't need to invite them to your wedding. Like all of the people that are my groomsmen are on the average 10 years or less of me knowing them. I got one person in my groomsmen that was a high school buddy, but everybody else, except for family, is like 10 years or less. And that's where the relationships are going. But I say this because I sent out all of my invitations. We did a weird set between mail-in RSVPs and online digital. Like we want everybody to RSVP digitally to save us keying the stuff in. And then I got a message from Dean. Okay. And Dean says, "Hey buddy, I know we don't talk that regularly, but I got your wedding invitation and I truly appreciate it. But I have been seeing the same girl for 3 years and you only have me down for 1. And I was like, shit, do I know this person? I felt so bad. And let's think about it like realistically. In the 3 years, 2 of those years have been COVID related, and I've been in North Carolina. So like maybe I met her once at
I don't think I've met her.
Was she at Peter-thon at Matt's house?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I feel confident that was someone else.
Okay. It doesn't matter. It's just that I'm so
I don't know how deep to get into Dean's love life on the show.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's fine. I just don't like. Should I feel as like the communication that I have with Dean? I want Dean to be there. Yes, he was absolutely one of the first people on the list. But should I feel bad about not knowing who he's dating?
I mean, maybe. If you should, then I should as well, because I don't really know. Again, he moved away, and I don't
That's true
leave
as
my
well.
house unless I have to. COVID be damned. If I don't have to leave my house, I'm not going to. So I don't really know the ins and the outs of what's going on in his life. I know he's been seeing somebody for a long time.
That's true.
I don't know how long that long time is.
I think he told me. I thought he said years, so which is good. But at that juncture when he said that to me, we didn't have any more space, so I literally couldn't say yes. You can bring her. Up until later that afternoon when we got 3 of our RSVPs back via mail, and one of them said, we're not making it. So I got 2 open chairs that now went down to 1 because Dean can bring his +1.
Nice.
It balanced.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad that worked out.
Yeah. Well, you make these lists and you count these numbers hoping that people will say no because, you don't, like, just, it's okay. But it's great. The response that we're getting from it is fantastic, and on top of it, we're trying to make it as fun as we can because we're doing it's like it's a masquerade themed wedding. So we want everybody to have fun and costumes and masks and whatnot because our anniversary is on Halloween. So we're trying to make it spooky and fun. Not the horror show that it probably is going to be because, family. Yay.
But you know what? Even if it is a horror show, Halloween's the time for it to be a horror show.
That's true. That's very true.
It's on brand no matter what you do.
That does track. Correct. Sorry, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So we're going on vacation this weekend. We've rented a house in the Poconos.
It's funny. Like when you told me you were going on vacation, I know where you live. And when I was a kid and my family, when we went on vacation, we went by where you live. I was curious, like, what do you consider vacation? And you are, in essence, going to where I lived growing up.
The world is a small place. I don't know what I'm going to do out there. Karen's got plans. I don't know what they are. There's going to be mini golf. There's like a pool somewhere nearby. I don't know. I'm really along for the ride. I'm not opposed to going by any means. Like, sure, let's go on vacation.
Get away from it for a little bit.
Yeah, so it's like we're going. Wednesday's John's birthday, his actual birthday. Saturday was his party.
Right.
So Wednesday's his actual birthday. Then we're leaving on Thursday, and then we're going to come back, and the kids are going to go to school. So, everything's changing pretty quick. I'm very excited about the kids to go back to school. I hope it sticks. Like,
hope it works out this time.
Hope it sticks. Because here's the thing: we were initially thinking like, they're going to go back for like 4 days, and then there's going to be 9 COVID cases, and then we're just going to be back to me teaching full time. So no, I'm not going to make any plans.
Right.
But
we got to go through the motions. It has to happen. They can't just think for themselves like ahead of the game and say, "Hey, let's just do this the right way." No.
Where the way our school's handling it is so everything's everyone has to wear a mask at all times. The teachers have to be vaccinated. And I think like if they're not, I don't remember what it is. I'm getting confused with that airline that was like, if you're not going to get vaccinated, then we're going to have to charge you like $400 a week for the extra cost of the risk of having you there.
You're being drawn and quartered outside every day.
Something like that. But they're also lunches are all going to be outdoors. They're like they're erecting one of those gigantic tents that can be heated.
Okay.
So all lunches are going to be outdoors, even like in the winter and stuff. Like they're not screwing around, which is, it gives me some hope that things may be more or less okay.
I mean, is their cafeteria that small? Like they're installing a larger room for what should be the largest room in the building.
It's that it's going to be open air is the difference.
Okay.
The cafeteria is an indoor thing, and it being open air decreases the risk. So like they can heat it, but they're also going to have like it's a tent with windows and stuff. So there's going to be airflow, in and out. So I don't know. It all seems pretty interesting to me, and I'll just cross my fingers that none of my kids die.
Yeah. Yeah. It sucks that you have to think that way, but it's the world we live in now. Yeah.
It is the world. That is the world we live in. My freedoms, Evan. I did my research.
Freedoms. That's what we're free for our freedoms.
Yes, that's right. I would like to be free from your freedoms, please.
That's some of my favorite things on like Facebook now, is seeing the memes about just people calling other people out. And there's a lot of effort being put into it to see both sides of this argument are being displayed and I don't want to say supported properly, but they're out there. There's definitely a lot of memes and whatnot going out there, and just watching people fight via imagery and text-based funny cat pictures is just like, that's the world we're living in now. Like, there's no normal conversations. There's no fact-based arguments. It's no, look at this. I'm underhanded, like passive aggressively arguing with you.
Yeah, it's gross.
It is.
And it's what it's like. I try not to get involved in arguments that I'm not educated enough to argue about.
That's not the point of arguing.
It's one of my things. If I don't feel like I can, display my point with any sort of, with back any claims or anything, then I tend to avoid arguments to the best of my ability, because I could be wrong. That's kind of like my baseline for all things in life. I could be wrong. I frequently am. But there's a lot of folks out there who are very, very certain of whatever it is that they're talking about, and that's it makes life difficult. But anyway, we're going down a sad and dark path.
Let's go a different route. What have you been playing?
What have I been playing? Oh, boy.
I can tell you the 4 games that I've been playing on the Crapper. One of them is a hole-based game. Crapper.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I have had absolutely no time. I can't even remember if I've actually gone onto my PlayStation and downloaded this month's games. So I'm going to have to check that, because tomorrow I can't get the free ones for this month, which oddly I still pay for. Don't know why. Collecting them, and as soon as I stop paying for that service, they all go away. PlayStation.
Yeah. I mean, you know me, I'm not really in the PlayStation ecosystem. Somebody was just posted something in our Discord about PlayStation. Where was it? Something about they using like some super cheap parts in the PS5. Sony takes a step back. This comes from Matt Flamger. Interesting that Sony is cutting corners on their new console in an area where they are already having a difficult time keeping temps under control on the PS5.
Well, my understanding with that, like I saw that they released a smaller PS5 unit. That I think is because, number one, they do want to cut down size, but 2, it was the availability of parts. Certain parts were easier to get a hold of, and I don't understand how they are still so far behind. Like, how long ago did the PS5 come out?
I don't know. It feels like ages ago.
It does, doesn't it? Like,
I mean, I aged like 4 years trying to get Dan his PS5. So I think it was just last November or something. They were out for like Christmas last year, I think.
So nearly a year, and I still can't go into my local store and buy one.
The new revision is featuring a significantly smaller heatsink and an absence of the large copper cold plate. The fan that cools the heatsink is also reduced, resulting in a complete thermal downgrade. Well, that doesn't sound good.
That I would agree with that.
As a matter of fact, that sounds the opposite of good.
It sounds like bad. It sounds like a lead-in for, hey, this thing has to be recalled.
Well, you know what? I mean, maybe they're hoping for like a Red Ring of Death situation, like that they can have all their PS5s fail, and then people will be forced to buy more PS5s. Not that they need help selling them, but I mean,
yeah, literally the flaw in that plan is they have to have PS5s to buy.
Indeed.
There is a flaw in that plan.
I see a hole. It's a PlayStation 5 shaped hole in your plan. That means it's a very large oblong hole.
Odds, and it's like it's weird shaped. It's a weird looking system. They went.
That is a weird looking system.
They tried to go too futuristic on it.
Like, yeah, I'm not a fan of fan.
Oh boy.
I kill me.
Tired.
Yeah, I'm not even that tired. Why, I kill me. That was Alf. That's who said I kill me.
Yes.
Yeah, Alf. Remember Alf? He's
I
back.
do. Oddly, because
earlier
this morning, this meme popped up on this picture popped up on my screen on my Facebook, and it said it took me 5 minutes to realize that's not Alf in the picture, and it's a picture of a woman standing at a podium, like addressing a crowd, but like in the crowd behind her is a woman looking down, and she's got really red hair, and she got a pair of like sunglasses in her hair, and it looked exactly like Alf.
That's amazing. You know what else is amazing? That Alf hasn't been rebooted yet? You know what else is amazing? That we haven't covered Alf on this week's episode yet.
You know, that's one of those shows that I have super good memories of, and I don't want that ruined.
Me too.
I do
I'm
not know how that show holds up.
I'm going to ruin it for... No, you know what? Here's how I'm going to fix it. We're going to watch the Alf cartoon. That way we'll all be miserable.
We'll all be, yeah, that's a good plan. Not just one of us be miserable. All of us will be miserable.
I just want to pick something that we can all hate equally. You know what I mean?
It's true. I mean, for those that haven't listened to this week's episode, it's usually just one or two of us that hates the show. It's not usually resounding, oh my God, this is the worst thing put on celluloid.
We still haven't watched that's why we were asking about the show, because we were going to watch whatever our next episode is. What
Ultra
is it?
City Smiths.
It looks weird as hell.
I still haven't watched it either, and I'm so curious because it's baby dolls. It's stop motion
it is
baby dolls.
So creepy looking.
And it's like a serious, like noir cop looking kind of show, and it's all baby dolls. Okay, all right.
So speaking of modern consoles, we were just talking about PS5. I had a fun conversation in the Discord, and kind of like been rolling through this in my head is like, after playing Battletoads, the thought had crossed my mind of maybe possibly getting an Xbox One of some flavor, because I went to visit Mike Sheridan and we played Battletoads, and I was like, yeah, Battletoads was kind of neat, and then Rare Replay exists. I wouldn't mind owning an Xbox One S if I could get it for like stupid cheap. And then everyone's like, no, don't get a One S. It's terrible. You got to get like an X and Game Pass. And I'm like, whoa.
So when you said an Xbox One, swear to God, I really thought you meant like the original Xbox. My brain did not compute to Xbone. It did not go there. I'm like, you're going to go out and hunt down an old original Xbox to play Battletoads? That seems excessive.
What do you mean hunt one down? There's 3 of them right there.
I'm not. That does.
I am pointing to one connected to my TV and 2 more in my closet.
But you were at my house playing Battletoads, having me and Dean in tears from laughing so hard. What were you playing that on? Was that emulated?
We were running that off of the NES, I think, or wasn't on a Raspberry Pi. But that's the original Battletoads. They made a new Battletoads for Xbox One.
Okay,
and I rather enjoyed it, but it's only on Xbox One.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
And then I was looking up, I started looking at all the prices for stuff, and I saw that the Xbox Series S is like under 300. It's like, I think I saw one for like 250 or something. I can't find an actual MSRP for these things. Everyone's got them listed for different prices. Well, Series S. Okay, that's a Series X for $880. That can jump right into a river. But then I got one here on Amazon, a Series S for $299. Basically, what it all boils down to is if I can get an Xbox One or a Series, whatever the hell, really, I don't even really want it that badly, but like it would be nice to have one of these things, and I wouldn't mind having the digital thing or whatever, because I'm not spending like $500 or $500 or whatever the MSRP for a Series X. Like that's just not happening, because I'm never going to use that thing.
That's because I'm looking at Walmart's, like, because that's where I normally go for like baseline pricing, because they don't fluctuate like that. Like $880 for a Series X. That's secondhand sellers, no question. That's ridiculous.
So that's what I'm trying to find is like the regular MSRP, and I think it's $500. every single game that I just went to Xbox.com. Like, all right, here is Sea of Thieves, not interested. Cyberpunk, not interested. Halo, vaguely interested. I would like to try the Halo series and see if I could, see what all the hubbub's about, even though I own a handful of them over there. So there's the first, let's say, 20% interested. I don't even know what this game is, so I'm just going to skip right by that. Forza, I'm not interested. This is, I don't know what that is. This is there's Big Ben and some dude with purple hair. All right, whatever. And then there's a bunch of bubbles. Then we got Assassin's Creed Valhalla, no. Ascent, no. NBA 2K, no. Cyberpunk, no. Call of the Sea, I don't even know what that is. Looks cute. So, like, Battletoads, I could play Psychonauts on this thing. I could actually play Psychonauts too, which I hear is fantastic.
What about, oddly, I mean, I guess having the console for you because you are a collector of sorts, but, like, setting yourself up with a gaming PC of sorts so that you can, I'm sure, because it's just a Windows-based game. That's what Xbox is. I'm sure it's available somewhere on Steam or whatever their online service is now, so that you can build a much better computer than what's in that Xbox for $500.
Now, I understand what you're saying, and I understand that everything you're saying makes all of the sense, and somebody else recommended that too, like get a PC at this point. But I don't want
I don't
First
want
off,
to.
I don't want to. I don't want to do the all right, now I'm in a computer, and now I'm going to launch this program, and I don't know why this is so different to me, but it just is different to me. I don't want to sit at a desk and put it on a monitor. I want to turn it on with a controller, sit back on my couch, and launch a game. Like, I just want to go. I want a game console experience. I don't like the PC gamer experience. I don't want to have to worry about, is this going to run on this, or, well, this new game's coming out, but I haven't optimized my settings for this, and I don't know how to think like that. And I know that that's a really small problem, and for most people it's not even a problem at all. But for me, everything about PC gaming is beyond intimidating to me. And at this point, I'm too dumb and old to learn it.
And I fully understand that. And the unfortunate part about that, because I fall into that bracket as well, like, I understand it, and we have a borderline decent gaming PC in this house. We don't use it for gaming. Angie uses it for streaming. But she plays some games on it, and when she's playing certain games, I look at the listings of the available titles, and there are thousands of games that I will never play because it's not emulated on my Raspberry Pi somewhere. It's not on a PlayStation. It's just thousands of games that I will never experience because they are PC based only. And in a similar respect, that's how I feel about Steam in general.
And it's kind of starting to get in that vicinity with, I mean, it's always been in that vicinity. You know me, I have thousands of video games and you can never choose what to play. But when you get something like Game Pass, for example, or even PlayStation Network that Dan's been trying to talk me into for years, that's crippling to me. Like, all right, you sign up for $24.99 a month or whatever Game Pass is. It's a phenomenal deal. Don't get me wrong, that is a fantastic deal if you're going to use it.
Right.
But I will not use it because, 95%, if not higher, of the games that are in Game Pass, I have zero interest in spending any time playing. Just none at all whatsoever. And then on top of that, it's like, how do I choose? How do I look at how do I say, all right, what am I going to play? I can't. It's completely paralyzing to me. That's why I always go back to playing I'll play Mega Man 3.
Well, I mean, I got the NVIDIA Shield TV that I had modded so that it does do emulated games, and there are thousands that I don't even know. There's like at least a terabyte's worth of gaming on there, and unless you guys say something and I become interested, like that Pac-Man game that you said was horrible, I then went to go look for it on my Shield, and it was there, and I played it. If I start that bad boy up, I will turn away from the screen, push down so that it starts scrolling through titles, and then stop, and then start playing whatever game it's on. just to try.
Yeah, that's just terrifying to me. I have there's too many things out there to play. So yeah, I can't jump into anything for $25 a month. I can't. So that's just a non-starter. But I don't love the idea that the Series S is digital only,
especially with your digital availability in your area.
Oh no, that's got a lot better. I'm doing
okay,
fine.
good.
Yeah, no, I'm doing great. Then in that's all going fine. In fact, if we wanted to host Petathon at my house, I got confirmation from Matt Much that it would be totally doable.
The Matt Much told you that you could do it? Oh my god.
The Matt Much has given me the approval. So now that's all well and good. It's just that, you know me, I like collecting physical things, but also I don't have anything against buying digital games. And if there's like 4 games that I want on the Xbox, I don't need the power. I just need something that can play Battletoads, basically.
Yeah.
So,
well, it wouldn't be an Xbox. It would be a Battletoads box. That's what you're buying. Like,
and it would be a Rare box because I'd buy Battletoads, I'd buy Rare Replay, and then I'd buy Killer Instinct, and that's it. But then, you know, the moment that happens, Rare Replay and Battletoads will get ported to Switch. Like as soon as I, purchase the Xbox One.
So buy it, hold on to the receipt, and just force fate into the position that you wanted it.
It's once it's hooked up to the TV, everything's out of the box. The kids have sat on the box and drawn on the system with crayon. Then they will get ported to Switch. And
as soon
only
as you
then.
cannot return it for whatever reason it may be, that's the moment it gets ported.
That's the moment it gets ported, and then I will cry tears of blood.
Wow, that got dark quick.
It did. So let's see. What else have I been up to? I got 2 new reviews. Oh my goodness, is Matt listening to the show right now?
Yes, he is. The Matt Much.
Oh wow. He just asked me a question that was directly related to what I was talking about, and I got really freaked out. Like, oh my god,
I can see you.
That just for a split second I forgot that people could tune in, and it just like totally blew my hair back.
Let's let the people know so that when they do listen to this their normal way, they may look into it. For some reason, the last time we started Discord and now there was a change where Discord's channel is called Stage, where their voice channels are stages, where right now Chris and I are talking to each other and 2 people are actually listening, so we can have an audience. So I don't know how that will work with Dan because of his normal life.
This is going to be great. Just so our listeners can experience what you have to edit out in real time.
And that's the thing. Like, I mean, granted, there are certain things that I edit out for content purposes, but then there's certain things that Dan doesn't. Certain things that you, myself, and Dan don't want said on a podcast about our personal lives. But I don't care if you know, and Dan knows. So
exactly. So we'll have to make sure that all the pre-show talk, that we don't let people listen until a certain time. We can figure all that stuff later.
Yeah, now there's a learning curve. We'll have to figure it out. So
anyway, back to my brain. Let's see. I got 2 reviews for the next Nintendo Force coming up. I have a short period of time to get through them. One of them is a game called Doomsday Vault, which I had never heard of before.
Okay.
It's kind of adorable. It's you wouldn't think so, right? I got Doomsday Vault and World's End Club, so it was very apocalyptic. The 2 things that they sent over to me. Doomsday Vault is it's like a little, almost like a block pushing puzzle game with very little block pushing. So everything you move on a grid. It's from a 3/4 perspective, and the world's used up, and you have to go around and try to collect plants, the remaining plant seeds, to then bring them back to your greenhouse to start to re-kick up the world growing plants and stuff. It's a pretty basic premise. The game looks nice. The controls are really wonky. So I'm
going to let you know, for anybody that's possibly listening, and for you, if you Google Doomsday Vault, a image of a place in Norway, which is actually a vault for humans, it's not the game. This game doesn't look like anything you're talking about.
Doomsday Vault video game. It's pretty neat so far. It's nice and short. I have no idea. The problem is they gave me a review code for it, and once you download something on your Switch, you can no longer tell how much it costs. Like, even if you go to Nintendo's website, if you're logged into it, it's just like, you own this. Like, okay, but I want to know how much it costs, because I kind of want to do a little, that's part of the analysis. Like, is the amount of content in this game worth the price?
Got you.
So far, I mean, I started it yesterday, and I'm almost done today. Like, there's really not a lot to it, but it's been pretty clever so far. Go around collecting nutrients for your plants. And you can customize your little character to look kind of like however you want. So it's cute. I like it.
What's that? What was that? That Wall-E-esque. There was that little robot, his girlfriend in Wall-E.
Eve. Yeah. Kind of looks Eve-esque. Actually, almost looks like a sleeker version of the the Metroid Prime Federation Force chibi characters. That's what popped into my head. But the other one's World's End Club, and that is, I think, from the writer of Danganronpa.
Okay. And
that's something that I have some information on, because my not niece, it's right, there's a nibbling, that's the word, because they are identifying as non-binary, and I wasn't sure what to call like a niece or nephew that identifies as they, them, and apparently the word is nibbling, and I hate it.
You can't see my face, but I'm making that face.
It's oh, thank you. Doomsday Vault is $19.99. Thank you. RC Metzger. Rob Metzger? Am I right? Rob? Did I get that right?
Sounds right.
I just heard a beep, but I didn't see the message. So
you just walked right over my voice when I said it. That's fine.
Yes, Rob, nailed it. Nailed it. I know somebody's name.
There you go. Good job.
Thank you for that information. That is quite nice. World's End. Yeah, nibbling. Sorry, that's where I was. It's apparently a cross between like niece, nephew, and sibling. I don't understand it.
Well,
either way, they really like Danganronpa, and I am somewhat interested in World's End Club. I really don't know anything about it beyond that. I don't know what the kind of game it is. Looks very anime. It could be very interesting. I'm going to start it as soon as I finish Doomsday Vault. I have until the 10th to write these reviews, so really buckling down and burning through them. I was going to play Skyward Sword with John earlier today and was like, nope, I have to continue Doomsday Vault. Got to bust through these things.
Got to do what you got to do, sir.
Absolutely. Let's see. John's been really into Mega Man lately. Okay. Like really into Mega Man. We started reading the comic books for like bedtime stories recently, and
awesome.
He's been really, really into it, and also he was asking me a bunch of questions about the Robot Masters, so I went and grabbed Matt Much, actually, years ago, bought me a Mega Man art book. That was the Complete Mega Man Works and the Complete Mega Man X Works. Now, I never opened that art book, but it's always been sitting on my shelf, and the reason I never opened it, because I had half of that book. I had the Complete Mega Man Works, and I thought to myself, when I'm ready to look at the Mega Man, when I really want to look at the Mega Man X stuff, I'll open it. But in the meantime, I'm just going to keep it nice and safe. So he finally started asking me questions about the Mega Man X Robot Masters. So I was like, all right, let's crack this sucker open. So Matt, just a week or so ago, I finally opened that present that you gave me. And John has just been poring over that book like crazy. So now he's asking me to play the games. So he asked me to play through Mega Man 2. Because the big dragon boss at the end, he thought was the coolest thing. So I, sat down, did that in one sitting. Then he wanted to see Mega Man 7. So that's another one of my favorites. So I plowed through that. And today,
this is working out for you.
This morning we started Mega Man 6. I did the first 4 Robot Masters and then, put a stop to it because there's only so much screen time in the day. And so that's been fun. Just a real obsession with Mega Man. Of course, is still totally into Metroid. There is a new Metroid Dread trailer that came out that was like, oh man.
I will say the imagery of his party was adorable.
Oh, that was great.
Metroid,
so the big thanks to the people in the Discord that helped me out with some of the decorations. So he wanted a Metroid birthday party. I think I mentioned this on the show a while back, and it's not like you can just go get Metroid decorations.
Right. They're not sitting on a shelf somewhere.
So Karen downloaded the Super Metroid title font and made a banner that says happy 8th birthday, John, out of that, which was super cool. Then we got a bunch of green balloons, and Karen printed out all these like the little red dots inside the Metroids and their little fang things, and we cut those out. We taped them to the green balloons that we filled with helium so they would float around the room like Metroids.
Cool.
She made a like shooting gallery with these little Nerf guns, so that it would be like the missile launchers, and you would just shoot the little Redleys and Mother Brains and Metroids and stuff, and that was super cool. And then she wanted to do something with the piñata. She just wanted to get like a big round green piñata, but she couldn't find one that didn't need to be shipped, and the shipping was always going to be just some stupid amount of money. So then she was like, I don't know, he's been kind of into dinosaurs lately, and she showed me this T-Rex one. I was like, I can make that into an Omega Metroid, no problem.
No problem. I'm on it.
And then it was slightly problematic, because he was this cute little T-Rex, and so I like put a bunch of pipe cleaners across his stomach to make it look like the Metroid guts that he's got, and then I messed with his eyes a little bit. And the folks in the Discord chat helped me out with the eyes, kind of expanded them a bit more. And John recognized it right away. He was like, "Here's your piñata." He's like, "You turned it into an Omega Metroid." Like, yes, nailed it.
Nailed it.
He liked it so much that after the candy came out and like a kid started going for it, he was like, no, I want to keep this. And so he plays with it. He brought it up to his room, and he like plays with it like he plays with his stuffed animals, pretending to do like Metroid boss battles.
That is a win right there.
Total win. Feeling pretty great about that.
Good job.
Of course, the big thing in this house for the last day or two has been Lego Mario stuff. Lego Mario's been like, it's kind of almost always in the forefront of his mind, but since he got new sets for his birthday, it's just been, oh man, there's so much cool stuff. Like
they're pricey.
What's that?
They're pricey. Like I saw a couple of those like when I was working at the club. Like I was kind of surprised. Well, no, not really. It's
Nintendo
Lego. And it's Lego, so yeah,
they're kind of on par with other Lego sets, which is to say they're expensive. So he got the first one we built from his birthday presents was the Wiggler set.
Okay.
So first thing you build is the Wiggler itself, which the yellow caterpillar things from Mario.
Okay.
Which is really cool. It comes in all these segments, so he can bend, and then what you do is you build. It goes on these flat purple plates, and when I say flat, not like with the dots on it, like completely flat purple plates, and then you attach it to a gear, and that gear is attached to a little thing with a barcode on it that Lego Mario goes into, and it starts playing like the bonus stage type of music from Super Mario Bros. 3, and you move it back and forth to make the Wiggler wiggle back and forth. And there's another thing on the side that's a bridge that's all rolled up that has a Goomba inside it. Okay. And the Wiggler, you have to shake it really hard so the Wiggler hits the side of the bridge, which opens a latch, which unfurls the bridge with the Goomba inside of it. And then you move your Mario over to the bridge to get across and stomp on a Goomba and get a bunch of coins. It's freaking cool, man. So the one we built... No, go ahead.
It's interacting with the game?
No, there's no game. It's all in your head. And this was I tried explaining this to Dan earlier, where it's like when these sets first started coming out, it's like, the building them isn't all that complicated. It's not like building like a Lego Death Star or something where it's like, and here's this awesome Lego Death Star, and like the building it is the thing. Because once you build these things, the idea is that they become this kind of interactive toy for you to play with.
Okay.
And I didn't get it until I saw John playing with this stuff. And like he plays with that Lego Mario constantly. Just the little dude, the little Lego Mario. That's the one that comes in the starter kit, and he's got the electronics in him, right? He's got a little screen on his chest, and you can get different outfits for him. Like, for example, one of the things he got for his birthday was the bee costume. So you put the bee costume pants on him, and then when you pick him up and like move him around like he's flying, it makes the bee noise like he's flying.
I got it. So there is there is a digital portion of it, but it is the Mario.
Yeah, the Mario is the interactive portion of it. So like he's got like this little sensor basically in his crotch pointing down to the ground, and like if you put him on something purple, then he thinks he's standing in poison. So like it starts making all these bubbling noises, and his eyes start going like all cockeyed and whatnot. He's going oh. Or if you put him on something red, he thinks he's standing on fire, and he goes ah. Like, it's fantastic. And then all these little characters come with these little barcodes that say what they are. So if it's a Goomba, it's got a Goomba barcode on its head. So you pretend you're jumping on a Goomba, and it goes like, whoop, and you get a coin. Like, it makes that sound effect. Or if you land on a star block, then you get invincibility for a while. And then that changes what happens when you knock over other characters with their barcodes because you're invincible. The one we built earlier today, besides the Wiggler, I think we did most of the Wiggler yesterday, and today was like this castle set, which was really cool. It's like it's got a drawbridge and a POW block that's connected to it, and underneath the POW block is this, like, it's on an angle, like one of those little angular pieces.
Okay.
So when you press down on the POW block, it moves the piece enough to knock down the drawbridge, and on the back of the drawbridge is a little coin block that you jump on and get a whole bunch of coins.
Neat.
This whole set's just super fun, and like, I would have no fun playing with it for more than a couple of seconds, but it's endlessly fun watching him play with it, because he'll like connect them together. He'll grab other Lego sets and build levels and stuff to pretend Mario is going through with that. Like, it's nuts, the kind of stuff you can do with this cute little, like, this Lego Mario thing. I would have been just like him at his age with this little thing. This little interactive Mario figure is just the coolest damn thing.
That's awesome. I mean, and that's the point. Like, Lego, I don't know at what point in the world it became a adult toy. Like, now, like, we got, for our wedding, there is a Lego theme. Like, we have a couple of things going on, and someone from Angie's community bought the Ghostbusters car for us. And
nice.
I look at that, and we're supposed to be putting that together for the wedding, and I look at that, and it's so intimidating. Like,
there's a lot to it.
It's so scary. Like, and she just put together Hogwarts, or part of Hogwarts, but it's not the way it used to be. It wasn't a box filled with just random pieces and a got. There's this section that you have to put together that'll eventually connect to this. Like, it breaks it down so small that it's manageable. So it's not as overwhelming as it seems, but damn, there's a lot of detail in Lego stuff now. Like,
there is.
Crazy.
The Lego Mario one comes with an app.
Okay.
It's a free app, and so all the instructions are digital.
Mm-hmm.
So you can like kind of like flip the image around to see exactly where the pieces go from a step-by-step basis, which is nice because, he takes all this stuff apart, and then it's like, all right, well, how do I put Bowser's Castle back together again? Where the hell are the instructions? Oh, they're on my phone.
Gotcha. That's actually super convenient.
Which is nice. So that's basically the long and the short of what I've been up to. I don't think I've been playing much else. I'm sure there's something else that I'm forgetting. I haven't touched Animal Crossing in a couple of weeks now, which is kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. The game lasted me more than a year of me playing almost every day. I think that's pretty solid money's worth right there. And I'm sure if they start adding new stuff to it that I actually care about, I'll dive right back in. I still want to keep checking for more artwork, but I've resigned myself that I will never fill the art section of my museum. So that dream is dead.
Aww.
And yeah, other than that, I've just been I put way too much thought in reorganizing my game shelves.
Okay.
Last week. So I don't even know where to begin on this, or whether or not I even should. It was just this big ball of stupidity. Every time I'm always trying to figure out how to make the backdrop for the videos that I'm doing better. And what I want to do is show more of the wall, not just have the shelves behind me. But also, like, I love my Atari 2600 games with all of my heart and soul, but there was something about the two shelves I had of 2600 games just wasn't looking good. Mm-hmm. And Super Nintendo, being my favorite platform ever, was down at the bottom, so you didn't really get to see the Super Nintendo games in the shots that I set up. Master System is ugly as all heck, so I wound up taking down the two Atari shelves that I had, which really broke my heart, but they look so good in my closet that I was like, this is just where these belong. They look really good here together. Okay, I'm in. So I took those down, and then I took Master System, moved it all the way to the bottom, so it's still on display, but it's not up at the top where it's like super noticeable.
Okay.
So now they're on the bottom shelf. They totally don't bother me down there, and I added a row of Genesis games that I didn't have up before, which makes me super happy because it's all the stuff that's not uniform. So I got like Blaster Master 2 and Rocket Knight Adventures and stuff up on that top shelf, which is like, okay, that's great. I have some of my favorite Genesis games out of the closet. I added a second row of N64, which was weird to me because I don't love N64, but I really love the way they look lined up. So I added a whole second row of N64, including the Zelda games that don't match anything else, but I don't care. I shoved them all at the end and it looks fine. And then I moved NES over to where the Atari was, all the way at the top on the left. And now the middle section from the first 4 shelves from the ceiling down are all Super Nintendo, and I think it looks wonderful. And then I went over to Box My Games, which is this Etsy shop that does really high-quality reproduction boxes.
Okay.
And I bought, like, 31 repro boxes.
Jeez. Oh, of course you did.
And, like, I shouldn't have spent that money, but I put it on my credit card, so it's
so
money I have to worry about later.
That sounds like a future Chris problem.
If I was smart, I would be attempting to redo these shelves in bit boxes.
Okay.
Because that's the stuff that Stone Age Gamer sells, and they're gorgeous. They are gorgeous, and they're all uniform.
Yeah.
But since I'm me, I'm doing all this based on, like, I want the uniformity of, like, gathering them together by publisher, so that, like, all the all the Capcom games are lined up next to each other and they look nice next to each other. So the problem that I had was NES. I have a lot of boxed NES games that I don't really like. Like, I'm happy that I have them, but they're like, I don't really need to have this copy of, like, I don't know, some rando baseball game or like WWF King of the Ring or whatever it is. Like, these are just things that have come to me for free over the years that I don't really care about.
Right.
But they're all like filling these places for all these games that I want to have up there, like the black box NES games. I have like 5 or 6 of them, but they're stupid expensive, especially right now. Repro boxes, however, are not. I have the carts and the manuals for all the black box games, so I just picked a handful of those, and
got you.
Basically, I just filled up my NES ones, so I'm going to take down all the ones that were just there as fillers, and then I'm going to put them all in these repro boxes and put them up on the shelf, and it's going to look glorious. And I don't care that the reproduction boxes, because they're not for sale.
Right.
It's your collection. This is just for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole, like, I have the carts, I have the manuals. This is what really matters about the box, is that I can look at it and see the artwork on the box and read what's written on the back and see the spine art and stuff. And that's all in the repro boxes. So, that's huzzah.
Done and done.
Feeling like a genius who spent more money than he should have on stupid stuff. But it's going to make me so happy.
Yeah. Was the happiness that you were acquiring from it worth the amount of money you spent?
Oh my God. I mean, just the like the spreadsheets that I went through of figuring out which games are going to fit which style and are going to fit on which shelf. Like, the relief that will come over me when I can just sit down and look at the NES shelf and just say, there they are.
There
they are.
Worth its weight in gold.
Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 next to each other. I didn't do Ninja Gaiden 3 because that one can stay in my closet because, number 1, fuck that game. Number 2, they went so far as to add the red bar on the bottom for the Tecmo logo on the spine, but they didn't add the icon at the top like all the first-run Tecmo games for NES. So no, Ninja Gaiden 3 stays in the goddamn closet. Thank you very much.
It's punished.
It's punished. You're damn right it is. All right, I could go on and on about that for days, but I'm not going to. We should take ourselves a quick break. And when we come back, Evan and I are going to talk about the current status of grading and slabbing video games in the weird bubble that we're in. And that's going to be ugly. You're listening to the Stone Age Gamer Podcast from Geekade.com. Stick around. And now, here's a quick look at some of the other original content available now from our partners and Geekade.com. First up, the Super Nintendo is a wonderful video game system, and you know what else is wonderful on the Super Nintendo?
What?
F-Zero!
I was going to say something inappropriate, but I stopped myself.
Thank you. Yeah, no, don't F-Zero. F-Zero is a great digit, integer. Does zero count as an integer?
Yes. I'm going to go with yes.
This is
most of the people that are
great.
listening don't know either, so I'll say it confidently. Yes, it is.
Well, me and my cohort, Matt Ramo, we decided to celebrate. We're doing all kinds of anniversary celebrations on Waveback this year because there's all these, games anniversaries happening. So we celebrated the 30th anniversary of F-Zero for the Super NES by listening to the soundtrack of F-Zero for the Super NES. I know, right?
I'm just trying to count how many times you're saying F-Zero in one commercial. I'm up to
for
47.
the Super NES. It was awesome. The music's awesome. The game is awesome. The podcast was awesome, and you will be awesome if you listen to it. So go ahead and give a listen to F-Zero, number 135, Waveback. Let's try that again. Waveback, episode 135, F-Zero. Catch it.
Next up, hey guys, I'm the producer for this, but before, when I couldn't actually pop in every week, my baby, Angie Fernot, she would help. So she is
You're
part
marrying
of this.
your baby?
My baby. That's my baby. I love my baby. She's my fiance, my cohort, my special lady. I don't know what you want me to say. But she was also part of this podcast as well, and she is part of our TWEP podcast. But more importantly, she's on Twitch. So she is an artist, and she does all sorts of artsy things, and she talks to all of her followers diligently. It's to the point where she really doesn't get much work done because she's communicating with all of her people, and then she's rushing at the... She's great. Just making it seem like she's doing way more work. She loves doing her artwork. She loves communicating with her fans and everybody there. So if you have a few minutes and you want to check it out, head over to twitch.tv/LaraCraft13. She'll be glad that you showed up.
She will be. I stop in on that every now and then. Every now and then I get a chance to sit down on my computer in the middle of the day and I'll look through my emails and be like, oh, she's online. Boom. And I'll jump in, and Matt Much is usually there being all awesome, and she's there drawing pictures and stuff. And Evan's usually in the background, and I yell stuff at him, and it's funny. But because he can't hear me because I have to type.
Me through her because I'm not listening to it because there would be a horrible delay. But it's her, me in the background, and Owen making ridiculous noise throughout most of the stream. So
it's a top grade production.
It's fantastic.
I love it. All right, finally, sticking with the Super NES theme and the darn near close to launch titles, the Super NES Podcast, which is an old podcast that's relatively new to Geekade. They recently did an episode on one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. I don't know if it's actually one of my favorite Super Nintendo games. I genuinely love this game, but then there's so many Super Nintendo games that I love more. Regardless,
way to oversell.
They did, yeah, way to oversell. Nah, one of the best ever made. Super Adventure Island is a wonderful, wonderful Super Nintendo game. It's got a really interesting visual style. It was very colorful. It was super early Super Nintendo game, and it's got a great soundtrack by Yuzo Koshiro. But anyway, the SNES Podcast episode 170 was all about Super Adventure Island. And let's see what they say in the show notes so that I can keep talking about it. In this episode, Greg and Joe are joined by fellow podcaster and return guest host Will as he brings Super Adventure Island us to discuss. I'm going to go ahead and edit this live on the show.
Do it live!
This game feels like a port of the classic Adventure Island games from the NES, although it's actually a sequel, as you once again play Master Higgins trying to jump, axe, swim, and skateboard his way across 5 stages to lift a curse on his beloved Tina. It's true, this creepy little monster demon thing comes out on a broom and turns your girlfriend into stone. But, she's in a tree. You guys are sitting on top of trees, so, why the tree does not immediately shatter under the weight of a stone statue sitting on top of it is beyond me. But, the whole game's magic. It's fine. Anyway, if you like podcasts and you like Super Nintendo and you like Super Adventure Island, you should go over to geekade.com and listen to the SNES Podcast episode 170, Super Adventure Island.
Oh, you're adorable. Here, I'll actually say the end. For all this great content and more from us and our partners, be sure to keep your eyes on geekade.com.
.com.
Check it? Is that how I end that?
Catch it.
Catch it. I'm sorry.
Don't be. I'm terrible. are back, and we are going to talk about the recent, right after Dan and I recorded last Monday, on Tuesday, August 23rd, this video from Carl Jobst. I don't know how to say that. Either way, this video showed up about exposing fraud and deception in the retro video game market.
And I'm going to be honest with you. When you sent that link to me and I first looked at it, I thought it was a very different video. That it was people falsely selling product, not about its value. This is a sealed mint in box copy of X, and then when you get it, it's not kind of thing. And then I watched this hour-long video, which was a great video.
Right? I
really
did not
well
expect to actually make it through the entire hour. I figured at some point I'd be like, all right, I'm done, but I couldn't look away. This is a fascinating video. We'll link to it in the show notes for anybody who's not in our Discord channel. We had a small conversation about this over there. And this basically, we've all thought, anybody in the world of game collecting has thought it very strange. Like me and Dan have talked on the show a bunch of times about this Super Mario Brothers sold for $1 million, or a Super Mario 64 sealed sold for stupid amount of money of $2 million or something. And this stuff keeps going up, and we keep wondering to ourselves, who's buying this stuff? This doesn't make sense. These items aren't that rare.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of crazy, how crazy and or rich do you have to be to spend this kind of money? And apparently, it's all been kind of a
orchestrated.
gross...
It seems like it's been orchestrated.
Yes, orchestrated. That's a very good word for it. So, you watched the video more recently than me.
Yeah.
Give me a breakdown of what we watched.
Okay, so this was a literal breakdown of the slabbing world. Now, slabbing, for those who don't know, if you are a comic collector or now video games, it's or back in the day when it first started, coins and baseball cards, they all ran through their slabbing phase where it's sealed in a hard plastic case and it's given a rating of some sort, depending on what, item you're looking at. It has a different rating system. Most recently, it's video games where they have a rating for the condition of the box and then a condition for the wrap. Same thing happens with comic books. They judge it on the condition of the book, page color, corner bend. I mean, the list goes on and on. But now the problem, first off, I've never been a big fan of slabbing because my experience is with via comic books, and my brain always says comic books were meant to be enjoyed and traded and shared and read, and you can't do that if it's locked in plastic. Same thing goes for video games. This is straight up a thing for reselling. That's it. Yeah.
We've had this, Evan and I both used to work at the same comic book store, and it will remain nameless, but one nugget of wisdom that the proprietor of said store would always say to people asking about why they don't carry graded comics is all right, so you go and you get it graded at a 9.5 and then you toss it up in an attic for 20 years. It's still sealed and still says 9.5 on it, but it's been in an attic for 20 years. That's been cooking in an oven for 20 years. Is it still a 9.5?
Yeah, that's so, and it's based upon humans. It's not done by a computer. It's not done by robots. It's a dude or a gal sitting at a table looking at your product saying, I give this a 9.5. These are my reasons. But in essence, you could slide that down to another person and they could give it a 9.4 or 9.7. It's all based upon personal opinion. That's what the grading system is. It's opinion. And when the video game market, so this it's 2 years now, I think they were saying, this grading influx happened about 2 years ago with the start of, it seems, with COVID, because everybody started staying inside and trying to figure out more ways to make money. And the buying and selling of graded games became really popular because they saw how popular it was for comics. And there to this day, there's still comic. Like now, I have a first appearance in Moon Knight that is sitting in a box in a bag and board because that's how I protect my thing. But if I go to the comic shop to buy an 8.9 version of his first appearance, it's like $12,000. That's ridiculous. It's Moon Knight. It's a no-name character. There's no reason for that other than
It's Werewolf by Night, right?
Yeah, it's Werewolf by Night 32.
Yeah, I knew something.
Good job. So the problem is that this market is being orchestrated by a very few people, and the biggest names in it are Heritage Auctions and what's the name of the
WATA.
WATA.
WATA, WATA.
And I'm not familiar with WATA. Watching this video is the first time I've seen them, but there's other versions for other product. I don't feel...
I remember back when we worked at the comic book store, I remember was at VGA grading was starting to happen, and that was years ago.
Right.
And then when the way this video posted is like, WATA just showed up a couple of years ago, just 2 years ago or something, and they immediately wanted to make it all of our assets are liquid TM. They wanted to make it like, no, we are the authority on video game grading, and this points to people in Heritage also being involved in WATA and artificially inflating these prices by being the ones to buy these games themselves.
Then resell them to themselves to then jack up the prices because they're not purchased or traded by collectors. Well, technically that's not true, because if you buy something to hold on to it, it is a collection. A true collector, someone who appreciates it for the thing that it is, not the money it's going to make you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
these people don't care about these games. They have no interest. They're turning them into and inflating these prices so that other people will use Heritage Auctions and sell their games through there for exorbitant amounts of money, and the more money that they make off of those purchases, the more money the auction house gets from those purchases.
Correct. And I remember you said to me, like, you thought that the place... a couple of years ago, I sent you a link to go apply for a job at a place that started doing this. They started auctioning off video games because they were an auction house for art and for comic books, and I know the proprietors, and it is not them. It is not Heritage. It was Comic Connect. So just so
right, they were trying to take on Heritage. That's right.
Because Heritage is a huge name. I've actually had dealings with Heritage because of the gallery that I used to work at. They do art, and they are a huge monster in this world, and it's all fake. It's all an illusion that someone is buying something with not their money just to drive up pricing. And this video they did a fantastic job with their investigative journalism, and it was all right out there. Like, they didn't have to do many interviews. All they had to do is a couple of Google searches, but they are showing how so many hands are in so many people's cookie jars. They're all together in this, and it was like a cabal said, you know what, we're going to do this, and ruin this collector industry. But
they're going to make a whole crap load of money while they do it,
and they are doing it in theory. And they're doing it now. Very good point about the video is they don't tell you who's buying these games. Okay, we don't know in essence who bought that $3 million Super Mario Kart. We don't know, because it's not by Bob, it's not by Jane, it's by an LLC of some sort or a mutual fund. It's not a person.
Yeah,
it's a group of people that got together to put their monies together, and that's if it's actually sold outside of Heritage, because what they did find is that one of the first large ticket sales for a video game was done by the guy from Heritage. It was he bought it. So he then could say in a news press, hey, this game,
and then these
sold.
headlines go out. Yeah, they contact all these it makes these big headlines and nobody's looking into it at all. Just like, well, we got the clickbait headline right here. Video game sells for $1 million. There's your headline, and that gets them clicks. But nobody's looking into like, okay, is this legit? Like, what's the story behind this? Why would somebody pay this kind of money for something that's not legitimately rare? And the response from Heritage and WATA was something to the effect of like, nuh-uh.
No.
And like they actually went so far as to say that these claims are all baseless. And if you watch the video, there's a pretty solid base for these accusations. Like, he showed the receipts, in many cases literal receipts, but and it wasn't hard to find. It was just he actually went through and figured out all the information that was available from the people involved, what they've previously done, and the people involved now and what they do currently, and connected a bunch of dots and said, this is probably what happened. In some cases, he said, this is actually what happened. And then in many cases, he was like, in all probability, this is what happened.
He kept saying, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if you just look at it.
Yeah. If you just connect these dots, it's not hard to connect them. And it's freaking gross, man. I used to wonder about this stuff with comics, but comics have always been, I feel like there's just always been this weird amount. This comic's always been worth a whole lot of money. That's just kind of the way it is. And then, when the Marvel movies were coming out, first appearances and stuff became worth a whole lot. And I understood that. Like, I didn't feel like there was a lot of manipulation happening at that time, or at least it never occurred to me to think that there was, because all of those dots made sense to me. Like, oh, there's an Iron Man movie. It's massively popular. All of a sudden, first appearance in key Iron Man issues are worth money to collectors. That makes sense to me.
That's
like,
the
I
difference.
understand that.
You use a very special phrase in there, a good word, and that's key. Okay, in the world of comic books, there are key issues, special moments, special incidents that happen that make the book different than the book before it and the book after it. There is no such thing as a key copy of Mario. All the
Correct.
Mario, what?
Correct.
Oh yeah, all the Mario carts that were released are exactly the same. The only difference is how they were handled by the general public. When I bought it, I opened mine and I played it, because that's what you're supposed to do with video games. Someone else may buy it and put it in a box somewhere in their attic, and it sat like it that. But the way the first two came out, they were exactly the same. Okay,
so there is a degree of that, actually. For example, like with the Mario stuff, look at the original carts of Super Mario Brothers. I have a sealed copy of Super Mario Brothers on my shelf right now, and that game is not worth the same amount as ones with different seals and stuff. Like, there were different reissues of them, like kind of like, think of it like first printing, second printing, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Those weren't like, where if you look at it in a comic book, something says, oh, this was a first printing, this was a second printing. Video games didn't necessarily do that, but sometimes there were differences in the actual printing. So like the original run of Super Mario Brothers, they have a little circle seal on it, like a piece of circle sticker that would mark them closed, where some games came with cardboard hang tabs that were part of the boxes, and later releases didn't. So things like that would be variants in the games themselves that make them worth more. Or something like, think of Ocarina of Time. The first run of Ocarina of Time games has a rating E for everybody, but at the end of the game, when you beat Ganon, he coughs up red blood. There was also music used in one of the Fire Temple that had all this chanting in the background that was pretty quickly considered to be offensive to some people.
Okay.
That just so in later issues, not even all that later, but past the first run, Ganon bleeds green, and that music has been altered in that stage. So they're like, oh, there's a legit difference between a first run Ocarina of Time and one that was released, a few months later.
Okay.
So there are things like that, but it's kind of a different animal than key issues. Like, you're talking about, like, if you think a key issue, like first appearance of Wolverine, and then like the first time the first time Wolverine, I don't know, stabbed himself in the foot. Like a thing happened in that issue, like the issue in Fatal Attractions where Magneto ripped the adamantium out of Wolverine's skeleton. Pretty sure that was the first time we saw bone claws. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's a key issue right there. That's a thing that happened that changed the mythology. So that doesn't really work in video games.
There's also the fact that how many video games a week come out?
Oh God, it's different now. I know what you're getting at. Like, it used to be like a ton of comics came out every week and 5 or 6 games. But since indie games became a thing, you're talking, I mean, on the Switch alone, you could have up to 100 new games in a week.
Okay. So that's great. In a week. Every week.
Is it great? Because I don't think it's great. I think it's fucking crazy.
That is a little nuts. But every week, on the average, every week, except for maybe like leap weeks where it's like the 5th week of a month, there's at least 100 brand new comics released every week from multiple companies, from multiple distributors, every week without fail. Now, a lot of that is fluff. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of it is fluff. Just like you're saying, let's say 100 video games come out in a week. A lot of that is fluff.
Oh my God. Just think about Steam and mobile. I mean,
a lot of that is fluff. So that, like, all of the fluff is being compared to the key issue. Okay? I can't seal and package a digital game to say that it has a 9.8 rating. So it's not that there is no rarity to it at this point in its world. Okay? When we're looking at intrinsic and extrinsic, I think you said, value of certain things, like what the game did for the world and what the game physically is, the two different things. Now, I get it. Mario is a huge deal, but isn't Mario Brothers not the first appearance of Mario?
No, that would be Donkey Kong Arcade, 1981.
So the reason Mario is selling for $1 million is because someone wanted it to sell for $1 million. That is literally it, because that person who wanted it to orchestrated it and made it happen.
Like, Super Mario Brothers is a watershed moment in gaming. It's also one of the most common video games on the planet.
Yep.
There's tons of them. Now, you think about the rarity of, like, well, okay, a sealed from the original run of Super Mario Brothers, that's pretty darn rare. That definitely does, that, in my opinion, a sealed copy of first run, like from the test run in the United States, because the NES launched in the United States at a very, very small numbers because it was such a weird market back then. In the United States specifically, after the Atari crash, nobody wanted to carry video games anymore, so it came out in test markets. So if you've got a sealed Super Mario Brothers, like, we're talking about an actual, like, real important watershed moment in gaming, and you got a sealed one of those original run games, I would definitely personally value that at easily over $1,000.
Okay,
but you want to get into the millions. Now we're talking crazy, because at the end of the day, you're looking at, okay, this is a really cool piece of history that this is sealed, and this is legitimately rare. There can't be that many sealed first run Super Mario Brothers, because there aren't that many first run Super Mario Brothers when you really get down to brass tacks of it. But it's still Super Mario Brothers, and there's a bajillion of them out there in the world.
Yeah.
So how many people can really be looking at it like Super Mario Brothers for NES, the first NES game? Well, that's got to be worth a buttload of money, right? Except that this was the debut in America. This same exact game was released in Japan earlier. I have a complete in-box copy of Super Mario Brothers for the Famicom, and it's one of my most prized possessions. It cost me like $20. Like, and that's the actual origin. That's your actual Hulk 181 right there. Not the Super Mario Brothers that's sealed on my shelf. The Famicom one that I imported from Japan, that's the original right there. And but that doesn't hold the same value because it's, I don't know why it doesn't hold the same value. It fascinates me to this day. Like, oh, I got to get the original Metroid in NES. That's such an important thing right there. I want to get that. So that you don't want to get that so that you can play it. You want to get that so you can say you have the original Metroid, right? Because there's way better ways to play the original Metroid right now. That you could load it up on your Switch right now with a rewind feature and everything. Nice and easy. You want to get the original cart because you want to say you have the original cart, right? That's got to be what most collectors would want out of that. But if you're really looking for the origin of Metroid, then you've got to get the Famicom Disk System version, because this NES cart was its first American appearance, but that's not where it came from. It came from Japan earlier. Yeah. So why isn't the Famicom Disk System version of Metroid worth a butt ton of money? Now, Mega Man has pulled that off for some reason, and I don't know why it's just Mega Man. Like Mega Man and Castlevania. You want to look up the original, you want to get a complete in-box original Famicom Mega Man, all 6 of those are stupid money. They're also stupid money here in America, but there's a similarity between that here in America and in Japan. But same thing goes with Castlevania. The original Castlevania on Famicom Disk System is pretty pricey. You want to get the original Metafight Blaster Master? That game's super common in America, but it is based on a Japanese game called Metafight, and that game did not perform well in Japan. Funny story, the creator of Blaster Master didn't know that the game was popular in America and found out about it years later. It was like, that's great.
Look at that shit.
I can't believe this game actually caught on, because the game's amazing. But now, because the game didn't fare well in Japan, finding a complete copy of Metafight, the Japanese game, is legitimately difficult to find because there weren't a lot of them out there. So that's something that costs a buttload of money that I totally understand. But even that stuff, nobody's slabbing those Japanese games and putting them up for auction for thousands and thousands of dollars, which is what the biggest red flag to me, where I look at something like this and say, but if you're looking for the historical significance, breaking into the US market is one thing, but the actual origins here, they're not these games that are going for stupid money.
No. So here's the thing that I did a real quick internet search, and I'm going to ask you, what do you think are the 3 most expensive video games, top 3 that have ever been sold?
Oh.
Top three
that have ever been sold.
Yep.
That have ever, are you talking about before this, or no. Like
with this? With this situation, in this bubble that we are in.
God, I feel like it was a sealed
I'll even go
was
with
it
a
a
title.
Zelda?
Like you just
I know Super Mario 64 was one of them recently. And then I feel like there was a Legend of Zelda recently that went for a stupid amount of money. And then I got to say a Super Mario Brothers.
All right, you got all 3, but in order, the 3rd most expensive was Legend of Zelda at a 9.0, and it sold for nearly $1.2 million. Okay, Super Mario 64 at a 9.8, $2.1 million. And a Mario Brothers at a 9.8 for $2.7 million. Okay?
That is so stupid.
So Mario Brothers, if I'm not mistaken, is the oldest game in there, correct? Yeah. Legend of Zelda came out after Mario. When did Mario Brothers come out, Chris? Come on, you know this.
Right. What, Super Mario Brothers?
Yep. What year?
1985.
Close enough, 1983. Okay? So...
not in America.
Well, I typed it in.
This is what I'm talking about. The game came out in 83 in Japan. The one that went for auction was 85.
Good enough. You're stressing my point here, and I appreciate you not even knowing what my point is. Top 3 most expensive comic books ever sold. Okay, Action Comics number 1.
I was going to say Action. Let me see if I can guess this.
Okay.
Action 1.
Yep.
Action 1's got to be it. That's first appearance of Superman. I gotta guess maybe a Batman detective.
Yeah,
that's got to be one of them.
Yep.
And I want to say something Marvel, but I can't think of.
Wow,
I'm thinking of.
You're relatively good at this. Come on, you got this. I know you do.
What is it? It can't be Hulk 181.
No,
it can't be.
But that is a solid guess.
What else Marvel would be, like Avengers 1 maybe?
Nope.
Yeah, you got me. What's the last one?
Amazing Fantasy 15. The first
God, Amazing Fantasy. Jeez.
Okay.
Spider-Man, of course.
But 1, 2, and 3, okay? 1 and 2 are both in Action Comics, okay? Action Comics number 1 sold at a 9.0 for $3.2 million. And Action Comics number 1 at an 8.5 sold at a $1.5 million. And then an Amazing Fantasy number 15, I don't have a rating for it, but sold for $1.1 million. The next one.
Did you say an Action 1 at a 9.5?
9.8. 9.0, excuse me, and an 8.5. Okay,
That's crazy.
that's crazy. Now those
that
were both
book
sold.
is ancient.
Yeah,
and
those-
it's made of fucking paper.
So that yet again,
so
that's
crazy.
my point. Amazing Fantasy is the newest book out of those three, and that was 1962. Okay, Action Comics #1 was published in 1938 and is made of fucking paper. That
To
has
have that in
value.
proper condition, that's amazing.
Okay, now those three are all of the heavy hitters that are sold via auction are done by Comic Connect. Okay, now auction houses are auction houses. They all do whatever they want to do, but they are the most viable area for looking up for information like this. Like, they are legit humans. Like, I know the guy who owns it. Like, he's a decent human being. The problem with the video game market, with this bubble that they're in, I kept saying, it's being orchestrated where WADA is touting their sales to news organizations through Heritage, saying this sold at Heritage, but Heritage sort of helped set up WADA because I can't remember the guy's name. Do you remember the guy's name? It was
Oh God, I'm terrible with names.
It was James, or it was something with a J. The guy who, one of the owners of Heritage, helped set up. Ooh, his name was taken off of here. So, anywho, helped set up WADA. So, like, there is so much backhanded shit going on that it's so sketchy. Another huge red flag was at the point in the video they were talking about. There's this stipulation in WADA contracting for their employees, saying that an employee cannot have anything graded or auction off anything graded, something like that has been graded by WADA, something to that effect. And like,
basically insider trading.
Yeah, the largest collection that was traded, auctioned off, was by an either a previous or an employee of WADA. And to go above and beyond that, when they graded it, they gave it a special title, that they gave it
it was the This Guy collection
name,
or something like that,
which makes it even more rare. Like, that is fucking underhanded.
Yeah, it was gross.
Like, and I'm sorry, like, I look at the guy he looks like a kid to me, who's the owner of WADA, the ponytail wearing glasses. Like, he just looks sneaky to me. Like, they went on fucking what's the
Pawn Stars. Oh, they went on and off Pawn Stars a whole bunch hawking these games.
Yeah, he came on as the expert. Now, Chris, you have been collecting video games longer than the expert. You can't see, I am air quoting, we're not doing videos. Okay, like, there was this one guy who has started his collection and is now touted as the expert in video game collecting, who's only been doing it for 3 years.
He was one of the foremost collectors.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. Like, he spoke when he was interviewed. Like, they showed an interview of this guy. He spoke more about, I think it was baseball cards, because he was talking about some sort of card. Like, if I can go back in time, I would just follow this person around and buy everything that they're buying. Like, that's fucking underhanded. Like,
yeah, that's
like
you're Biff. You're Biff with the
you
sports
are literally
almanac.
going into the future to get the sports almanac. Like, you are that douchebag.
What drives me nuts about this is I remember this stuff that used to be like the big holy grails in video game collecting were always these like fascinating mythical things, like the Nintendo World Championships carts. Mm-hmm. Like, there was a handful of those made because it was for a tournament. Like, it's a thing that's legitimately, there's this many copies of them out there. We know how many there are. And not even like the gold ones. We're not even 100% sure how many of those are out there. They were like given away to competitors, and some of them were bought from Nintendo Power Magazine, like Super Star Fox Weekend, stuff like that. Like, these weird things that were legitimately limited releases were the holy grails. These things that you can't find anymore because they're legitimately rare and they were considered disposable back when they were first released. And like, I remember just a couple of years ago, me and Dan at Too Many Games, we talked to a guy that was doing what we're talking about on a much smaller scale. He's been buying up copies of Little Samson for years and just hanging on to them and waiting for them to sell for higher and higher amounts of money. Like, that game's not worth the money that it's quote unquote worth now. Mm-hmm. That's been artificially driven up by the people who are hoarding them.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's not a lot of copies of the game. It's a late NES game, but it's not that rare. It just goes for stupid money because people have been making it worth that much. A small handful of people have all the copies, and they just sit on them and wait for them to sell for more and more money. And it's gross. It's so disgusting to me.
Yeah. Like, and as I was watching this video, that phrase kept going, like, this is disgusting. Because this is the shit that ruins collecting for a collector. Like someone like me with comic books and you with like video games. Like, this is the shit that makes your holy grails unattainable because it's not sealed or someone else is falsifying its value. The gentleman who put the video together made a comment that all of this would be better or if WATA actually put out a listing of how many things they are slabbing.
What do they call it? The population report?
Yes, we'll call it that. What I'm going to call it is it's the bullshit list because this is exactly what happens, and I know it happens because this is the market that we're in. Things are slabbed. I don't like the grade. I unslab it, send it back in. That thing has not been tracked. Once it comes out of that box, it's just another copy of it. So let's say I have Mario Brothers sealed, mint in box, and I send it out, and they send it back to me with a 9.0. I don't like that. I take it back out. I send it back to them, pay for it to have it graded again. Now to the 9.2. Now they have officially graded 2 copies. I still don't like that grade. I'm going to break it up and send it out again. Now it's 3. So they don't know, like, unless the item is marked internally that this has been graded this, they can't track that information. It is fake information. It's just something to make you feel better because that shit happens all the time. Because grading, you have the amount it costs to grade something is dependent on the grade and the value of the book. That to me is utter and complete horseshit. Okay, if I have a copy of, let's say, Amazing Spider-Man 300, first appearance of the black costume. Oh, excuse me, first appearance of Venom. That's a great book. That's a key issue. I send it into them to slab. It's going to cost me X amount of dollars because its value, once I sell it, is worth X. Okay, it's not a flat rate. I have to pay an exorbitant amount to have that slabbed. If I go and grab an issue off of the rack and say, this book is only worth $3, it costs me considerably less to have that slabbed. That makes no fucking sense. They are just doing the same process. They are looking at it, they are grading it, they are putting it in a piece of plastic. It should not matter the value. At that point, you are, in essence, paying for a grade that you'll eventually get if you work at it hard enough, because everybody else, you're not getting the same grader every time you send it in. Like I said, it's based on personal opinion.
Yeah.
So those reports are bullshit. The only time you can actually get that is to see how many they actually have going for auction at any particular time. Like right now, if you look up Mario Brothers on fucking Heritage, there's hundreds out there for now. But that doesn't mean there's only 100 of them that have been graded. There's no way to track that information. Zero.
That's true. Because it can all be manipulated, just like you said.
The
whole thing's gross, and it makes me sad.
And it's not that it can be. It actually is. Because that's the world we live in.
Yeah. But eventually this bubble's going to burst. And, so now I'm sitting on thousands of dollars worth of games that I would love to sell a couple of the things that I have. Mm-hmm. I want to build a deck on the back of my house.
Yeah.
But lumber's super expensive right now. Wouldn't it be great if I could sell my stuff now, hang on to that money, and then build a deck a few years from now? But That's the thing. I don't want to get involved in any of this stuff. I don't want to get involved in slabbing it. Like, I have a complete in-box copy of Hagane. I don't want to get involved in slabbing that thing because it's going to cost me a bunch of money, and then I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to sell it. And when I do sell it, how much money am I actually going to see? I got to pay for it being slabbed, and then I got to pay the auction house.
Yeah. There's a buyer and seller. Usually there's a buyer and seller's fee. Like, so
yeah,
the auction house is getting money on both the sale and the selling of whatever you're listing.
Obviously, I would like to sell the game for as much money as I can, but I would also like to know that it's going to not to somebody who's going to immediately flip it for 3 times as much through some sort of weird manipulation. I'd like it to go to somebody that actually cares about having the thing.
And that's, like, as a collector, that's our mindset. That's what we want. We want it to be enjoyed for what it is. And
yeah,
like, this has been going on for forever. Like, it started like art. Like, what makes a Rembrandt more expensive than that the guy who's doing spray paint art in the corner of Manhattan? Like, it's because someone in a fancy suit says it is, and then everybody else says, okay, it is. Like, there's no like, okay, I love comic book art, illustrative, commercial art. I think a painting of fruit in a bowl is boring. But that fruit in a bowl standardly sells for more than the illustrative comic book art. The panels that tell a story, not this fruit is rotting. It's because it's not considered at the same level. It hasn't been valued by the right people to be worth something. And that's this whole market. It's people just whispering and saying, this is what it's worth, right? And then their buddy who has the $1 million or the finagling that they work to say, yeah, we sold it. They could literally sell to themselves and not have to pay. So if a guy who runs heritage auctions puts up a copy of a video game for sale, okay, so he has to then pay himself to list it. If he then outbids everybody and then buys it himself, he then has to pay himself again for the buyer's, the seller's fee. Then he's paying himself, in essence, the cost of whatever he, bid for it. So he literally is not paying anything. He's just inflating the value. Just went up. So he can say, I auctioned off a copy of Mario Brothers for $3 million. $3 million didn't change anybody's hands.
And that makes me sad.
Yep.
Well,
God bless this America. God bless.
Yeah. Well, the good news is, what's the good news, Evan?
It will eventually pop. I will say, if you don't think so, just remember Beanie Babies. That happens. If you are a collector, just keep slogging through. Just keep buying the things that you want to buy. There are still people out there that are decent, that like sellers at conventions, and there are people that don't know what they have, kind of thing. This community would be better off if we took care of each other as opposed to taking advantage of each other. And that's what a bubble is. We're trying to take advantage of each other. So just do right by each other and we'll make it through.
Yeah. Collect things because you love them.
Yeah. I mean, I looked at the current listing. Island Adventure 3 for $1,000. I don't even.
Island Adventure 3?
Excuse me, Adventure Island 3. Adventure Island 3. 9.6.
For how much?
$1,000.
It's bananas.
Yeah.
It's all bananas.
I
don't even like bananas.
Who likes bananas? I mean, truly. Super Mario 2? Like $2.5
I can't.
Like I don't get it.
I don't either, but I think it's time we wrap this up.
Yeah, go ahead.
That it's really just turning into like me shaking my head and being angry at the world for being what it is. Just, you know what? In the words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other.
Best advice ever given in a movie.
Just, yeah, be excellent to each other. None of this. All right, that's going to wrap things up. Evan, thank you very much for filling in for Dan tonight. This is a fun conversation.
You're welcome.
Right, there's a shocking lack of vaping.
Wait, I'm sure he played Pad. I'm sure he played, what was the baseball game that he's playing?
MLB The Show.
MLB The Show, and he bought a couple more packs of cards of some sort?
Probably. Yeah, they're probably real cards and then cards in the show, right? Because he does digital cards.
From my understanding, yes. So he has a
I listen to what he says, and I can't follow it.
Well, I have to edit it, so I don't listen to it. I was trying to my soda to make it sound like I was cracking open a beer, but it's flat now. So.
No, sad. Well, I'm glad I had an excuse to hang out and talk with you for a couple hours.
I appreciate you reaching out and putting it out there, because we will not be talking to each other, at least another week.
At least another week, yeah. Who knows when we're going to talk about that, but yeah, it'll be fun. Mm-hmm. All right, that's our show. Join us next week when Dan and I have decided to do something stupid. We're going to celebrate Labor Day because we're recording on Labor Day. We're going to talk about favorite video games about manual labor.
Are you shitting me?
I am not.
What were you supposed to do this week?
No thought.
What are you supposed to do this week?
This week was going to be the Game Gear, the Game Gear Stone Age starter kit.
Starter kit.
We're going to put that off until the following week. When are we going to talk about Goonies 2? I don't know. When am I going to get a chance to play Goonies 2 is a better question. But yeah, we'll see.
Figure it out.
Dig Dug. I don't get it.
Huh?
Matt just messaged me, Dig Dug. Oh, manual labor. Oh, that's a good one. Thank you, Matt. Dig Dug. Thanks. The only thing that came up in my head was good job for the Switch. That game's great.
I mean, immediately
but anyway,
I heard, do it, Doug. And that was just out of context. I didn't understand why he was saying that.
All right. We're on most social media platforms, and if you want to get in touch with us, we aren't very difficult to find. All it takes is a quick look at our show notes, and you'll see links to our social media accounts, as well as all manner of other fun stuff, like a link to our namesake, StoneAgeGamer.com, the Geekade Patreon, which helps keep this show running week after week, and more useful links than you can shake a joystick at. This show's theme song, Squared Roots, was written by Banjo Guy Ollie. You can learn all about his wonderful music and more by following the link to his YouTube channel, also in the show notes. And finally, we'd like to thank our intrepid editor, Dan, for making the show list before you folks.
Dick.
Thanks. We'd like to thank all you folks for listening in the first place. That's it. On behalf of Evan and myself, keep playing games.